Share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Maiyegun today. And the brunch time also gives you the opportunity to call in, right? Anytime in order to probably express your own views on the subject matter or the topic, anything. The number is right there scrolling on the screen, scrolling there, right? And it is a WhatsApp call only. Just a reminder, don't call it directly. So thank you for joining me. I don't know how many of you have actually received the news, possibly majority of you joining me right this hour. I've received the news of the conviction of the Finland-based, self-made or self-proclaimed Prime Minister of Biafra, government in exile, Simon Ekpa. You see, for those who are good observers of things, especially those who knew how all of this started, it is probably not even a surprise, right? For some, that he ended this tragically. However, it is good to take a bit of a stock. How did everything ended here? You know, about 4 years ago, right, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped by the, the murderous regime of Bukwari, that triggered more or less like opened a new chapter in the struggle for the the advocacy for the Biafra Republic campaign. And of course, prior to that, a young man named Simon Ekpa emerged on the surface. It all started from when Nnamdi Kanu granted him or appeared on his Facebook, live, where they had a chat about the activities of Nnamdi Kanu, the Biafran struggle, and why everybody should be on board and all that kind of talks. Especially most of Nnamdi Kanu's, projections, or as some would say, prophecies, telling everybody that the Fulani terrorists and their sponsor, they are coming. And as much as it may sound so alarming to a lot, especially the Igbos, right? It is still very much, something that they shouldn't wish away. And if you remember very well, the main enmity to Nnamdi Kanu's campaign in Nigeria are not the Yorubas, not the Hausas, not the Fulanis. The main antagonists of Nnamdi Kanu's advocacy, they are Igbos, the Igbo politicians, who mounted all kinds of, tricks first to try to intimidate him. It didn't work. They tried to bribe him. It also didn't work. Then they used the big stick by criminalizing the advocacy for Biafra. And of course, they did have some of the other, some of like the ignorant Igbos who felt like what happened in 1966 should not be allowed to happen again. So in their mind, they just have to, remain quiet and obedient to the contraption, which is contrary to what Nnamdi Kanu believes in, right? But for so long that Nnamdi Kanu has been preaching, as much as many people considered his style of preaching, right, his message or the way he delivered his message, got some of them more angrier than the message itself. However, Nnamdi Kanu never called on violence on the Igbo people. His entire work is based on protecting the Igbos. What are those things Nnamdi Kanu did? As much as some Igbos would say it was because of Nnamdi Kanu's advocacy that brought the military, invasion to eastern part of Nigeria, that statement is not true. In fact, part of what motivated Nnamdi Kanu's campaign for the, independence of Biafra was mainly because of this level of systemic marginalization, all right? militarization of the eastern part of Nigeria, harassment of civilians and all that, not to talk of the general consensus, an unwritten consensus that Igbos will never lead Nigeria. Igbos will never be president of Nigeria. So as an Igbo person, right, he was like, no Igbo man should be interested in leading Nigeria. In fact, if there's any mission or any kind of like ambition for an average Igbo man, Igbo politician, it should be to make the move on the peaceful dissolution of this contraption. Yeah, Mazim Namdekanu talks tough, no doubt. He's been able to use what he has, which is his voice, to probably like project not just himself, but the Igbos in such a powerful light. You get what I mean? That they cannot be intimidated, they cannot be cowed, and they will not bow. Just his voice, right? Sort of like trembles the supposed powerful criminals in Nigeria. There was never any harassment. People were, subscribing, joining the IPOB. It became like almost like a political movement, if you want to call it that, across Igbo land. Nnamdi Kanu became so powerful that with his personality, right, when he was invited to the Igbo, what do you call that thing again? Igbo World Union or something, or World Congress in America, he categorically told all the Igbos there who were living in America that something is coming. This was like about 11 years or so ago, 11 years before, the criminals in Nigeria decided to kill him. So he told them that, listen, you may not believe me, but I really want you to believe me. Mind you, this was just before Bokwari and his gang started their onslaught, as well as the ethnic cleansing in the southern part of Nigeria, from the middle belt part of Nigeria to the entire southern part of Nigeria. When Nnamdi Kanu raised the alarm that, listen, you know what these guys are up to, right? They have brought in armed terrorists, Fulani terrorists, and they are going to send them all over the place. In fact, they are already in most of part of the southern part of Nigeria. So the only language that the Fulani terrorists understood back then, he said, and still understand, I believe, was that it's that of violence. They don't do negotiation with them. You don't sit down and say you want to do peace talk. No, 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 no. But the moment they know that you are capable of the similar violence they are bringing to you, they will change, they will detour and face somewhere else. This request, I believe, was actually the reason why Nnamdi Kanu had a target on his back years before he was finally became their target when he landed in Nigeria. The point here is this: for those who liked him, for those who didn't like him, nobody can associate violence with Nnamdi Kanu. Nobody. Okay? Oh, he talks tough. He abuses tribes. He abuses this. All that stuff, right? Just the same thing he says about their leaders in Igbo land is the same thing it says about the criminal leaders from other part of Nigeria. But somehow, there was never any time anybody in the eastern part of Nigeria would say, oh, some group of people came and they said they are IPOB and harassing them. Never. There was never a single incident until when they kidnapped him 4 years ago. And this young man, Simon Ekpa, surfaced just from the blues, took advantage. And why? What happened? Nnamdi Kanu, among all the things he did, is human, and he's not without error too. Among every good things and all that Nnamdi Kanu did, he possibly didn't just put a succession plan in place. As much as the IPOB, as they are known, registered, legal, like sure you get. So they have what they call their rankings, but Nnamdi Kanu shielded all of them from the public, and it became the face that everybody can possibly, put a target on. And that singular act gave this usurper, chancer, called Simon Ekpa, a chance to fill in the gap, took advantage of the gullible ones among them, those who are so passionate about the fact that they have invested their time, their hope, their money, and physical stuff, mental stuff into the realization of Biafra. He started promising them what Nnamdi Kanu never promised anybody. First, he said he is a disciple of Nnamdi Kanu. He used the title for few days or few weeks. Then he said, oh, he's the one man, like he's a 50 man in one that Nnamdi Kanu was asking for. So if he's capable, then things got worse, got really, really horrid between, the known IPOB members, their leadership called the DOS. So when Nnamdi Kanu got kidnapped from Kenya, like I said, an opportunity. There's a lady that Simon later posted a nude on social media, by the way. So there's this lady who was so vociferous, like she was like a shark. She was just laying accusation left, right, and center. They knew who sold Nnamdi Kanu. They knew how much they collected. This was the selling point among these idiots around that time. Anybody, they would just drop a name. And before you know it, like ants or bees, right? There's online troll and the rest of them, they would just begin to troll that person. It was that bad that for the first time, IPOB, supposed IPOB members, and those who are like naturally Igbos, right? And somehow they were really never interested in Nnamdi Kanu. But seeing him, they said, oh, he's a firebrand. He's full of action. He started promising things, ridiculous things. That Baba, they were so serious. They were raising money. Now, initially, you would think, oh, yeah, he's doing well, raising awareness and the rest of that, But it got worse, like I said. They started taking on those who are the members of the DOS in IPOB. And they started accusing all of them of selling Nnamdi Kanu. This one collected $200 million. That one collected $100 million. We know how much you collected. They were posting people's pictures on social media. Everyone is accused. Everyone. Now, another thing. If you dare go and tell Simon Ekpa that he should tone it down, he shouldn't be doing this, you are automatically considered as a saboteur. The division was so massive that Simon actually gained prominence, right? Enough that he started presenting himself as somebody who is actually bigger than Nnamdi Kanu. But for the time being, in order to keep all the mumus that were listening to him under his control, he kept saying Nnamdi Kanu is his leader. Now, the point here is this. Nnamdi Kanu never, not one, not zero, not one, not two, right? In Igbo land for the period before his abduction from Kenya, there was never a single violence, like I said, in Igbo land, not even a single harassment from anybody that, but within a short period of time, they now said they were going to wage war against Nigeria. Listen to this. We are going to wage war until they release our leader. Everybody must sit at home on Mondays in protest. Again, he kind of like lent the rope by trying to use the pattern of Nnamdi Kanu in a way that an average Igbo person that supports him, an average IPOB person, will be like, either support is tricky, right? Or just abstain, look away. So over time, it brought a complete, ridicule towards the entire Biafran struggle. So he told them, he said he would defeat the Nigerian army, right? And they needed weapons. Where would you fight the war? The Fulani terrorists, which were the initial, the reasons why everybody needed to wake up. Our Fulani terrorists are coming to our communities. We must stand up and, I know some of you, what do you call yourself again? Biafra living in exile, deluded idiots. I know you're going to rush down here, but it doesn't really matter, okay? Because when this whole thing started, I remember how many of you personally felt like, why would the Yoruba man be talking about Biafra? They are double-mouthed. They are they are deceitful, blah, 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 and the rest. And you gullible ones are so blinded that, you allow one idiot to orchestrate what now became a violence against your own people. The last time I spoke on this, They were on my page, they were on my channel for days, right? Masturbating and the rest of that. I'll still say it because I know him very well. It got so much, right, that Simon Ekpa couldn't actually really give any evidence of who sold Nnamdi Kanu. But many of those they accused of selling Nnamdi Kanu, the gullible idiot, who most of them are here now, the gullible idiots listening to him, they didn't mind that he kept changing names and changing names. Anyway, if you want to fight war with Nigeria, how sensible do you think it is, right, to let that be fought on your own land at first, right? How do you fight, how do you go ahead and kill the people that you claim to be fighting for? How do you actually call somebody your leader when you call his wife a betrayer? There's no name they didn't call Nnamdi Kanu's wife. Oh. Baba, this Olori Burukus, this Efulefu Mofos, they called Nnamdi Kanu's wife Ashewo because Simon told them to call her Ashewo. They said it was his wife that was sleeping with his lawyer, Ejiofor, and the two of them, they collected money from Nigeria because Simon told them to say that. They were asking for the paternity test of Nnamdi Kanu's children. That's how mad these mofos went on social media. Then they said he's their prime minister. They started their government and they were telling themselves that they are no longer part of Nigeria. They've left Nigeria. It is Biafra Republic now. And these lunatics, most of them don't live in Nigeria. Majority of them don't live in Nigeria. But back in Nigeria, there were also division among the supposed ESN and DOS, kind of, not DOS, but the ESN supposed foot soldiers who were commissioned to stay in the forest, go after the supposed Fulani terrorists that are, terrorizing the states. That was the reason why they set up the ESN. But you know what? Immediately Nnamdi Kanu got kidnapped and this whole thing gone to the shit and all that, right? These guys turned themselves into the homeland criminals. Nnamdi Kanu sent a video message. First he sent, kind of like his lawyers to go tell Simon, you need to, to tone it down. This is not really helping. All this, your declaration and the rest of that. You know what he told them? These mofos. He told them that he can't take an order from somebody in detention, in DSS detention. And they agreed, right? They said that, I can't take order from somebody in detention. So to detach himself from Nnamdi Kanu, but at the same time, continue to use his name, continue to use his picture, destroying everything that he built and all that. They were watching everything. Some of them, like you are reading the comment will tell you. When you are reading their comment, you will know who they are. These are supposed to be Biafrans and Biafrans. So, but guess what? If you hear, no matter, that's another thing. There's nothing you say to me that will actually surprise me. There's no name you call me because I actually watch you mofos, right? I watch you desecrate what was supposed to be a noble cause. You were so happy to put money together and send it to some thugs, armed criminals in Igbo land. They were not going after Fulani. No. It was so totally, he said it is now war. Do you understand? He said it is now war. How do you fight war that you don't have any resources of? How do you fight or initiate war on your own land? So you know what they did? They now changed to anybody who is against it. They started giving people names to these guys. Simon Ekpa will go on his social media, announce names of people that he called, saboteurs, betraying them. This one betrayed Nnamdi Kanu. And guess what? This murderous terrorist in Igbo land, right? Working for him. They will go after those people. Not only that, if you're a police officer, a military or a uniformed man in Igbo land, you will be targeted. Now, what happened? We were saying all of these things, and sometimes I'm like, God damn it. So people said maybe it was being sponsored by the people in Nigeria. No. He's so worthless. Some of you overrated him. He's so worthless. He's not more than, just like he called himself, a content creator. You know one thing, people like us actually have a chance of, receiving contact, messages and what have you from the least expected places. And all depends on whatever it is that is going on or trending. Simon Ekpa saw an opportunity. The Umuada, the women who stayed in America,